I quickly wanted to go over some potential long-term trade ideas. And by long-term, these could be 6 months to a year or two out. But I just want to show you out where we're in the market with the stable coins, as well as with some different altcoins you could possibly DCA into for potential profit in the long term. If you're just worried about scaling your account right now and building up that equity or extra liquidity, you don't need to worry about this. However, this can be helpful for your portfolio allocation in the future. So we'll start at the beginning here and we'll just look at where Bitcoin is currently at. It did hit 91,000 today after retracing to a pretty significant level, as you can see here. This is around the 74,000 area. You'll see it hit this support area pretty nicely. As you'll see, it hit this resistance level pretty nicely here and has now almost flipped into a support level for it, bouncing off it really nicely, especially with this fair value gap. I am on the 1 week time frame here, so that's why these are long-term trade ideas. I plan on keeping Bitcoin for quite a while. I see it as the digital gold. I plan on holding Bitcoin over the next 20 or 30 years or however long I'm alive and pass it down to my kids, hopefully. That's a goal. So Bitcoin isn't really going anywhere for me. So as you can see here, we just have a continuous trend upward and nice bounce right there. It could possibly come back down to this ranging territory. I'm waiting to see if we're able to actually break above this area. So if we're able to break above this area, we could easily expect to 150 to 200,000 this year by the end. So if we just take our fib and we're on the weekly time frame here, we can actually see where this hit. And just go bottom to top real quick. So it hit right on that 0.382, which is pretty bullish sign. It could be moving towards the upside. When something maintains that 0.382 level, it just indicates this coin is likely to basically continue to trend upwards. It could, however, we could see a triple top possibly. We could possibly see a lower high formed here. That wouldn't surprise me as well, to make a lower low back down towards the 0.5 area. So that is something to keep in mind. These are long-term trade ideas, remember, so this is nothing we're looking to execute right away. But as you can see, we hit this area pretty nicely and this fair value gap for a nice move upward. We'll see if we see anything on our RSI here. It looks like we do have a little bullish divergence here. So here to here and here to here would be a divergence, indicating some possible bullish momentum. Will we bypass this and make a higher high? That is the ultimate question. Or will we just make a triple top or a lower high here and then come back downward? So that is something I would be on the lookout for Bitcoin, which will determine what we're going to see for altcoins here. So let's go ahead and move to Ethereum. Everyone's kind of hated coin this cycle, Ethereum. Poor little Ethereum. I remember it was big back in 21 or 22. Solana has taken over though. So as you can see here, we have kind of we've hit a pretty big resistance area actually with all these bottoming out here. We do have oversold territory on the RSI. We don't necessarily have a cross on our MACD yet, so this could just stick in this fair value gap, and maybe depending on what Bitcoin does, if it blasts through this top area, this could, as well go with it. But if it doesn't, and it'll probably hold this fair value gap and then just go back downward. But as you can see here, we can look and see where we actually hit at. This one's a little bit trickier. But if we were to just take this, let's go to the bottom here. So we hit that 0.17 pretty nicely. A lot of times when I see it hit the 0.17, it's worrisome for me, just because after that, usually as far as I see it go up is like to the 0.5, 0.618. Every once in a while, though, it could pump all the way back up to this 1.272, 1.618 area. So we'll have to see on that. But so once we hit the 0.17 nicely, we could expect to see this 2100 level or even this 2500, 2800 level on Ethereum for possible take profit or early take profit levels if we didn't want to wait for the full run. So that's what I would be looking at for Ethereum here. Once again, we did have a big trend break here and a retest of this trend line. So if we redraw that fib again, let's draw it just top to bottom here. So, if we wait a little bit, probably like June, July, we could see it hit the top of this trend line from the 0.17 level, and maybe it'll go back downward, or maybe it'll continue and if it breaks through that trend line, you could expect some bullish momentum to the upside to that $5,000 level at that 1.272, or maybe it'll hit a quadruple top here at that 4,000. That is what I would be looking at for Ethereum. It's going to depend if it breaks this trend line or not. I would say highly for that bullish upward momentum, but we did hit that 0.17. So I would say we can at least expect to hit this 0.382 again at 2100, or this 0.5 at 2500 here. And Bitcoin's take profit levels, I would say, we just do this real quick. So looks like we hit that 0.618 pretty nicely if we drug that top to bottom. So could be looking at 135, 167, 200 or 228, probably by the end of the year, I would say, somewhere in that range. Let's move on to Solana. So Solana, we have some nice volume bars coming in. We did have a little bit of bearish momentum. We made a lower low, which is worrisome here. So let's see, it could be getting across on the MACD. So we have this. So this is a lower low. This could come up, hit this fair value gap, make another lower low, or this fair value gap, make another lower high, and then come back downward. So that is something I would be wary of. But if we take our fib and draw it, we do have a lot of bullish momentum here, which I like on the volume bars. So go ahead and take this top, bottom. So we hit that 0.382, pretty spot on. So we could at least, like I said, expect to hit the 0.618, not the 0.786. And if we bypass this top all the way up to 373, 473 by the end of the year, I would say. Maybe a little past the end of the year, but these are the take profit levels I'd be looking at for Solana. If you were looking to get in right here and get out, like I said, this could be a good dollar cost average zone to buy in at. Yes, we could go down further. I hope we don't go down to $60, but it's always a possibility. So I'd watch out for these take profit levels as well. I don't think we're done with this bull run yet, so I would expect Solana to come back up to that 300 level, I would say, at least. But that's just my own opinion. As for alternative altcoin projects, this is a big one I've been looking at. We're already in a take profit territory, unfortunately, especially since we have this overbought signal on our RSI on the weekly time frame. However, if we were looking for a possible retracement or entry points to buy in, you can see this 0.5 lines up really nicely with this fair value gap. And there is some support area around there that could be a good DCA spot to buy into around that 10-cent level. Go ahead and see per fib retracement. But since we are in overbought territory, I would not consider buying this right now. It also looks like it's making a divergence here. So probably going to see some bearish momentum on it. I would probably wait to see what it does and then look either at the 0.17 level or somewhere around the 0.5 level to DCA into. But long term, this overall looks like a good project. The team looks really good overall, as you'll see by this bullish momentum here. It's an AI-based project, but something to take a look at and keep on your radar as well. But I would not be buying in at this point. Next one is ONNO here. So you'll see ONNO is doing the same thing. What's cool about ONNO is we do have a bullish divergence here. So we got this on the weekly time frame indicating a possible bull move to the upside. We did hit the 0.17, so this could be a nice area to buy into for the long term. Go ahead in here. See the MACD could be crossing back over. It looks like selling pressure is laying off. We also have a couple of bigger buy volume bars, not like huge, but once again, this could be a good DCA area to buy some at. So if buy here, we could be looking at 2.60, 315, 378, 423, but that would probably be quite a ways out. I'm not sure how long. Grass is another project I've been looking into. You'll see we're holding this fair value gap okay here. We do have some selling momentum. This project's a little bit iffy on my end. It's just maintaining a general kind of area for a halfway point on the RSI and stuff. So waiting to see what it does on this project. This one's a little bit harder to tell, but this could potentially be. Looks like we hit that 0.786 or 0.17 level pretty nicely. So we'll see here. So it came down, hit it. Like I said, when it hits that 0.17 level, usually you can expect that pump up to the 0.5 or 0.618 before it tanks back down again. It did make some lower highs here though, which is nice. So we could expect some bullish momentum, but we're probably just gonna have to wait and see on that. Move to the next one. Tau here. Tau is looking pretty nice as well, mainly because of this double bottom here. We also have a good indication here on your volume bars that there's some buying power going on, as well as our money flow here. Some buying signals there. Let's see, we already did this bearish divergence. We came down, hit past the 0.17, indicating a double bottom. We're holding this fair value gap too now, which is nice. May get a crossover on this MACD too, so this could be a good area to DCA into. Like I said, we could be looking at, since we already hit that 0.17, we could be looking at the 0.618 or 0.5 for profit. Or if it blasts through that, could be looking at that 1.272 or 1.618. Next one is Sensay here. So it looks like we are trying to curl around. We do have some buying momentum. This one just tanked back down though. We do have a rounded bottom forming. So it could see a push to the upside, but just a project I'm looking out for here. If we hold this once again, good area to DCA into. If it doesn't work out here and it goes past the bottom of our graph, obviously just get rid of it. But you're pretty much at the bottom right now. So if you're at the bottom and it goes past here, I just get rid of it. However, this could be a good project to DCA into right here just because it is making that rounded turn. So if we take our fib, just draw this top to bottom here, could be looking, what, here to here, 0.5 or 0.618. So probably at 8 to 9x or so if it does reach that point, since we already hit the 0.17. I mean, if made it a full U-turn on us, this could be a 15x at that 1.272. So project to pay attention to. I do need to do some more research on this. However, because we are at the bottom of the chart with this, and it's making that rounded, this could be a potential good buy. So heart here, we have a lot of triple bottoms forming. You'll see that's the rounded picture I'm talking about that I was talking about on Sensay here. So I'm kind of getting that roundabout. That's what I'm thinking. So we have a roundabout here, a pump up to that 0.618 or 0.5 level. We'll see if it tanks back down, but it did come up and eventually hit that 1.272. Like I said, these are longer term plays. So this is a different altcoin, but this is over, what's that, a year and a half about. So something to pay attention to for these. But with Heart here, this is another AI-based project. So as you'll see, we have a nice double, triple bottom coming at the bottom here, and you are pretty much at the bottom level to buy. So you can't get much more bottom out than this. Be nice if we had another solid green bar here, but we did have a green volume bar that was a bit higher than these red bars as you see here. So this would be a good area, I would say, to buy if you're looking to DCA into a project, just because you're already at the bottom. So, the most you can lose is this pretty much area here. So these are all spot buys though. But if we were to take a look and see potential profit levels, go top to bottom-ish. So could be looking, like I said, that 1.272 again, possibly higher. We also have that fair value gap there. So if it does, especially make a higher high on this level, we could be looking for potential profits upwards of here, which would be really nice since we're at an extremely low point, if you can even make a recovery at all, but this could be a 10x here. Next one had a huge downfall. Probably just gonna skip this one for now. We're at a low point, but it is making a nice kind of rounded bottom here for potential swing upward. And what's nice about this is it could just fly through all these levels over here on these fair value gaps if it does make that potential upward. We also do have some bullish signals of fair value gaps indicating a possible good entry point. Problem is we are overbought right now. We're making a divergence like we saw in that one coin. So it's just in ranging territory right now. We'll see what happens here. But with this project, he is vice chairman of the NASDAQ. So that's why I'm keeping this project on my radar. So you guys can feel free to take a look at this project as well. H bar looks like it's holding this fair value gap pretty nicely. And we also have some green bullish bars on the volume indicator. So if we draw this, let's see what we actually hit. So we haven't quite hit that 0.17 yet, so could go down further still, but we will go ahead and wait and see. You'll notice how I mentioned those rounded bottoms on the other charts. Here's H bar did the same thing. It takes a while, but it does make those turns. And these are all prices you want to be DCAing into. Solana did the same thing back in 2023, I think it was. 2023, whenever it was at like $10 or $15, you'll see this on the chart a lot, and that's usually when you want to be buying in. So that's why I am noting these down, because it's doing the same thing. We just haven't hit that upward momentum yet, but it's starting to. May just take a little bit. So heart, CD, all these I would be paying attention to based on those rounded bottoms. And you can see a lot of these on these altcoins here. Here's H bar, and then it just flew up. So something to pay attention to. Render, another kind of great project here. We got a lot of good volume or buy volume coming in. So we could expect a swing upward. I'm not sure about this fair value gap here is the problem. So that may be as far as it could go before making a U-turn back down. Here's these rounded bottoms again I was talking about, like the other coins. So something to pay attention to where you get that giant push upward. Rounded bottom, push upward. Usually you'll see a couple of those, so that's why I pay attention to that. Once again, AVAX, same thing, rounded bottoms to pay attention to here before that swing upwards. So all of these coins I'd be paying attention to. This one even looks like it's flattening out too for AVAX. We also have a little bit oversold in divergence here, so this could be a good project to DCA into as well. But just wanted to show you quickly the altcoins I'm looking at long term. I'd be paying attention to those rounded bottoms because those are usually the good spots to buy to get a general swing upward for a good 5 to 10x or so. But if you do have questions on that, please let me know.